Welcome to another edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Mikeless edition.
Don't ever do that again.
Mikeless edition.
Don't ever do any of that part again. Terrible clink to start the show. Louie Robot, producer Zach, hanging out with you tonight. Mike is, I guess, in your state again, which means there's no chance he'll ever come see you. Hanging out.
He was in Austin, literally a block from my work, and was like, "Oh, I'm too busy and too tired."
It's 3:30 in the afternoon. I need to go to bed. After a trip to LA, 3:30 would have been late for Mike to stay up. I can say that much. So there you go. There you go. Well, welcome in. There's a bunch going on behind the scenes in my life right now, and I am extraordinarily thankful that I have this outlet to talk horse racing, because it is the sport I like the most, and so I just wanted to start with a touch of gratitude tonight, because frankly, I'm in a piss poor mood. It's just the nature of the world right now, and so this is a nice reprieve from whatever that shit is. I'm gonna cuss tonight, just a heads up. And so yeah, no, I'm drinking bad beer out of an Indiana Derby Tom Collins glass from last year, and reminding myself that in 1995 Peruvian won the first Indiana Derby. So there you go. Like I said, producer Zach alongside. Zach will be up here on Wednesday with his entire family. I was racking my brain, dude. I don't think I've met your kids. That's wild, by the way. And so that'll be fun. Zach is going to Dollywood. We need to dive into that at some point, but that is it's an interesting.
I think Callum, when you were here for when you were in Baltimore for Preakness, Callum was a baby and you had met him.
Got it. So he was alive, just not conscious enough to say Mr. Louie like he's going to 30 times next week.
Oh my gosh, you're going to get tackled by them. You are their celebrity.
Look, I get it. I'm a celebrity to many people. Yeah, there it is.
But I mean, they hear your voice on the phone. For those of you out there who don't know me and Louie that well, Louie, I'll be in the car on the phone, and the kids won't let us talk. Is that Mr. Louie on the phone? Mr. Louie, guess what happened at school today?
Well, there you go. It's it's good bleep, man. I'm looking forward to hanging out. We're gonna do you're going to get the full experience, by the way. I'm going to warn you. So people that have listened to this show for years, and for some reason there are hundreds of you that do that, but every 11
dozens
o'clock
of you,
tens of people. The 11 a.m. beer walk happens every Thanksgiving Day. Wow! As an accident, but that will definitely happen a week from today. So, Zach, are we going to do a random impromptu Thanksgiving night version of the Horse Racing Happy Hour? Because I think we should.
Oh, yes, we are.
Okay, good. All right, so we'll get into that as well. So we'll be around next week.
The three of us in town together.
Yeah. No, the real thing, and I got to ask Churchill, but next Friday is we're getting into Clark weekend. So I want to see if they'll let me do the show out at 322. Maybe you can bring the boys out and we'll do the whole thing.
Oh, they would love it.
Yeah. And, we'll maybe do a barn tour or something, get into all that. But yeah, so maybe if you are listening and you are in the Louisville area, you're going to be here for Thanksgiving, maybe we'll set something up for next Friday. I did want to open with, so we've been doing this Gold Book horse picks on our website, First Gen Sports. And so I want to get more of our podcast listeners into that. So this Saturday, we're going to do one for free. And it's all my takes on Churchill Downs. We'll have a couple of football games in there as well from some of our football contributors on the site. And so you'll be able to go get that goldbookbets.com. Go get the freebie. We'll talk through the late pick 3 at Churchill on Saturday. And Zach, let's go ahead and watch the replays. After that, I do want to talk about the track conditions. And I want to give Churchill some credit to open before I get critical. But Kevin Kirstein, who is in their media office, one of the good guys that helps us with Derby every year, is going to be on Isla and Louie tomorrow at 11. So if you are interested in hearing from Churchill about a little bit about track conditions and about the weekend coming up with the Shaluki on Saturday, and then of course getting into next weekend with the Stephen Foster and all that, tune in tomorrow, ESPN 680 1057 here in Louisville. You can listen anywhere in the world. But here is Wicked Halo coming from slightly off the pace here, actually, to win what is it? The Dream Supreme.
Dream Supreme.
The Dream. It is Supreme. Here we go.
In behind, needs to find a seam, and there it is. Wicked Halo finds a seam in between, and she takes advantage. Wicked Halo willingly and easily grabs the lead. Little Prankster's up into second as You're So Silly gives way. Final 16th coming. Wicked Halo by 2. Little Prankster chasing her home. Wicked Halo, perfect trip winner, under the wire by 2.
So there you go. We wondered aloud if Wicked Prankster was going to give her much of a race there. And by the way, congratulations to Wicked Halo. She's going to be around next year. How about that? So she's off to retirement. She's going to go be a broodmare. Should be interesting to see. I have not seen the plans. Maybe you can Google those right now, Zach, who she's going to be bred to. But with her acumen over that distance, I would love to see like a Matoli or someone like that who is just an absolute terrific 6, 7, 8 furlong type horse. Good over one turn. See her bred that way and see if they can't keep that bloodline going. She just terrific end to a career, another $300,000 stakes win, no big deal. And did under the Twin Spires as she has so many times. And so just a fun one there. I think we'll see more from Little Prankster. Obviously just a 3-year-old right now. I think as a 4-year-old could very much grow into her future self and figure those things out as she moves forward, as she trains into it. And so interested to see if she gets better with time and I imagine they're going to give her some time off this winter. Many of the female horses especially need the time off in the winter. So interested to see her back as a 4-year-old. But yeah, Wicked Halo out on top. A little bit of a disappointment from You're So Silly, who ended up running 4th on that one. It seemed to trail off really hard at the end there. I had been really good at Churchill Downs and part of the equation many, many times in those kinds of races. So a little surprising to see her do that. But I think Wicked Halo, simply put, class on class, and she was just better on that day. The other stakes of that day was a graded stakes in the River City, and Smoke and Tea got this one done. And Zach will tell you on the show last week, I mentioned every single horse in this one. I picked the wrong 3 long odds horses in this one, Zach. So go ahead. Here's Smoke and Tea at the top of the turf
Some
stretch.
traffic. Rock Emperor needs to find a way through. Just 4 lengths behind and is being kept pinned in by Harlan Estates. So they're off the turn. Here comes Smoke.
So many horses in this race.
Outside. Grand Sonata dives to the rail. Dominican Pioneer. Siege of Boston down the center. Rock Emperor's fading late. Final 16th. It's Smoke and Tea in front by 2. Harlan Estates. Siege of Boston chasing Smoke and Tea under the wire.
Really kind of an interesting one here. You got the feeling from Travis's call, and that's Travis Stone, and we thank the people at twinspires.com and at churchilljones.com for the replays there, that you mentioned it. The field was huge, right? And that is going to happen anytime there's an actual turf race at Churchill, which we will get into. And, there are 2 types of ways to win, route races on the turf. You get out front, you stay out front, or you make a trip. Mm-hmm. Smoke and Tea Stalker that made a trip. There were other horses in that race that needed to do a lot more work and weren't able to do it, and that's what we saw in that one. And so Smoke and Tea gets up and wins that one. It's a it's a grade 3 that felt like an absolute grade 3, maybe a grade 3 minus even. But no shame in that. I mean, timed really well, a really good run. The ride itself was really exactly what Smoke and Tea needed to go ahead and win that race. And so no hate from me on that one. Just ran off the screen, and when they run off the screen, there's not a whole lot you can do. Like I said, class on class, and so Smoke and Tea did exactly that at Churchill, hoping in my own personal way that they're able to keep the late race on the Saturday card on the turf, which is an optional claimer in race 9. They do have a sprint before that in race 5. That's an allowance race that I do not expect to stay on the turf. If you follow the Gold Book at all, goldbookbets.com, you'll see that I've been handicapping for dirt. I've just been assuming they're not going to run on the grass recently. And like I said, we'll have Kevin Kirstein on tomorrow from Churchill Downs, and hopefully he can shed some light for us on what that might look like, because it right now, man, doesn't feel good, Zach. It's been years, legit years, that they've been having these issues with the turf course at Churchill Downs.
Yep.
And at some point, I mean, we're talking about, are they going to be ready for Derby weekend?
Right.
for the American turf and different races. I mean, are they going to be ready for that? And it's a terrifying prospect. And I get it. We're in an era where we're more careful now than we've ever been with horses. But I would like to think in a town where there is a soccer stadium, for example, that has a pro men's team and a pro women's team playing alongside one another night after night, and they rip the crap out of that field, and they have the instruments in place to make it work, and they, you know, the grass growers and the lights and all that kind of stuff, like that they would be able to figure that out at a facility that's going to do $750 million on Derby Day. They would be able to figure it out in that way. I mean, literally, Zach, a stunning thing has happened this year, which is the only turf claimer run this year. I think there was one at Ellis Park, maybe two. Otherwise, you cannot run a claiming turf horse in the state of Kentucky. That is not good for business, man. It's just not. We all know what Keeneland is, and it's we won't have anything lower than a 20,000 claimer. And look, they care about sales. They'll tell you. They got a sales page for their freaking Twitter page. I mean, like, it is what it is. But the idea that Ellis has to carry the burden of that, and that Churchill can't even card these races, is really troubling. And I don't want to blame anyone because I don't understand it enough. But I wish there were a touch more transparency on what the actual issue is. If it's still this, hey, the roots aren't taking hold, man, that's an issue, like a legit serious issue. And I just wish, like I said, there was a little bit more transparency. So I'm going to try to be patient, wait for Kevin tomorrow. We'll talk to Kevin Kirstein, and I'll release that on this platform as well. But just at some point, man, like, people make fun of Turfway, and they make fun of Oaklawn, and they make fun of these tracks that just have one surface. At some point, you got to admit that Churchill's falling into this, or the other thing you can do, if it's a November thing, stop carding turf races in November and just tell people. Just tell them.
Yeah.
But we're seeing more and more, and they even tweeted about it the other day. Horseshoe Indianapolis is bragging about their turf course. By the way, they should. They should. Because you can actually go up there and have your horse claimed. You can actually run them.
Yeah,
you can actually do it. It's part of the business here, and we're losing that part of the model. I mean, when you run an allowance sprint and a two-turn $100,000 optional claimer, that does not include a lot of horsemen. That excludes a lot of people, and that's really the problem here. So I'm interested to see if they can get that figured out. I'm hopeful that they can, because look, man, the turf racing over Derby weekend is as good as it gets in the United States. I mean, everybody shows up. It's really good. 6 months away from Breeders' Cup. You're removed from the Pegasus. It's prior to the Saratoga meet. It's prior to these other meets that are turf heavy. I just hope they can figure it out across the street at Churchill, because, man, it just detracts so much from the cards to not see anything on the turf. It's nice to, we've talked about it. We've gotten, messages from people who listen, which races are the hardest for you to handicap? Is it dirt sprints? Is it dirt, routes, turf sprints, turf routes? What is it for you? And I love having those debates. Right now, we can't even have them. We're talking about dirt races and nothing else, and that's really problematic. So hopefully they can figure it out, get things together. The long-term viability of the racing product at Churchill, it needs a turf course. And if it's something where you say, look, we're going to run it April, May, and June, but not in July, not in, and then, we'll run a couple races a day during the September meet, but not in November. Like, just tell people. Because if you keep all your horses at Churchill and you're paying all the fees and you're doing all that stuff, at some point you have to just come clean and be transparent with people that rely on you for their livelihoods, for their business. And I hope they get it figured out for that reason, because, we've interviewed Brian Lynch on 680. We've interviewed, other people, Brad Cox, whatever. They need those turf races, man, because it's just part of the business. And if we're going to hold up these purses, and we're going to hold up the field sizes and all this stuff in Kentucky that makes Kentucky the best racing product, blah, 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 doesn't mean anything if we don't use all the surfaces we have. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter. And so I'm hopeful. I'm stupidly optimistic that they'll figure it out. But I would say that that's the number one. I mean, the real number one issue here in the state of Kentucky right now is that turf course at Churchill Downs. They don't have an issue at Ellis. They don't have an issue at Keeneland. We know what Turfway is, and they have figured out that new surface has changed Turfway. It is totally its own thing now. We've seen enough results on it, enough races to know what we're getting with Turfway. And so I really do hope we can figure it out, because, like I said, it just makes the racing that much better. It makes the cards just so much more palatable, more fun. Dirt racing is great. I love dirt racing, but there's something about those grass races too. So hopefully they'll figure that out as well.
And when you're arguably America's race course for horse racing, right? Like, it'd be like if the Royal
at least
Ascot
one of them
was
right?
like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, if I'm talking about like worldwide, people might not know what Gulfstream is, right? But everybody who knows anything about horse racing knows what Churchill Downs is, knows what the Kentucky Derby is, right? And if you're going to be that, and then you can't run turf races,
Right.
like you're going to get passed up. There's a lot of money out there right now in horse racing that people are at these smaller tracks are trying to get going. And if you have to keep moving things to Ellis, people might go elsewhere.
Yeah. No, I think if I had turf horses, I'd be looking around. And I think one of the big beneficiaries, frankly, that you're going to see is actually owned by Churchill Downs. It's going to be Turfway. I think you're going to see massive fields for some of these races because I think some people are holding their horses out, hoping that they can just run on the synthetic when we get there in a couple of weeks. So interesting to follow that. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope over Thanksgiving weekend when you're here, we see those turf races that are supposed to be carded, and we enjoy ourselves and get to watch some great racing on that end. Louie Rabeau at Radio Louie on Twitter, hanging out with Zach Zahner, producer Zach at Zach Zahner on Twitter. You can go find him there as well. So let's get into it. That Saturday card with the Shaluki. It's a grade 3 out of Churchill Downs. But let's talk about the late pick 3 and how I've been approaching these races, because there is an optional climber, and only in Churchill fashion. It's $141,000 purse, $100,000 to claim a horse out of this race. Interested to see how this, I mean, just the general nature of this. Do I start looking around at other horses that can win on the dirt? Do I look at a Big Blue Line who's 12-1, Joe Talamo, Paul McGee, who just ran on dirt last out at a mile and a 16th? The exact course didn't run great, and obviously doesn't want to be on the dirt at Churchill Downs, because before that ran in the Cowboy Jones, ran second. Goes to Kentucky Downs, almost wins, comes back. They try him back on the dirt, just didn't work, and so just interested to see what Paul McGee ends up doing if that horse stays in the race. Do we see a strong quality stay in the race who's 1 for 8 lifetime but has finished second twice? Ran in the Arlington Million this year, ran in the Tappet at Kentucky Downs last out under Florent Giroux really well, frankly. Does a strong quality stay in there? I don't know. English Taverns in this race, 2 for 9 lifetime, but 20 runs with 14 times hitting the board out of 20 runs on the turf. Does that horse stay in this race? It's just so hard to know ahead of time who's going to be running. Now, what we can do is look at the horses that are entered for the main track only. The MTOs, they help us out. So the Reds is on here, the 13 for Tommy Amos and Edgar Morales, the two of them. They win 1 out of every 5 races they run. This horse very recently ran in a 50K claimer. They obviously had sights on a race like this because they claimed him for 50. They put him in for 100. In this race, 5-year-old gelding, son of Tonalist. I'm an old man that Tonalist is 5-year-old kids. Good God. That horse, I think, 1 for 6 this year, ran second. And that was last time at Keeneland. Could the horse be in better form? Man, Tommy Amos, really good on the first off the claim, really good on dirt, really good with Edgar Morales. I think that 8-1 number is a real steal. The 13 horse there in race. I'm sorry, this is race 9, right? Yeah, race 9 on Saturday at Churchill. The 14 is Brigadier General. This is Tyler. I think this is the kind of horse that really can just come in and pick off this race. Now, some of the wins are at Indiana and other places. Did win last time in the slop at Keeneland. We're not going to have any weather like that here coming up, but did win wet fast. And then, ran second wet fast, then ran over dry conditions at Indiana with no issue at a mile. We're going a mile and a 16th there. It doesn't really change anything. Horse is 2 for 4 lifetime at the distance. And so interested if the horse can get it done as well, but only horses. Brigadier General, the 14, would be the one that I would look at, because Street Ready, Tyler's other mount, has 24 lifetime starts and only 1 of them is on dirt. So, 2 are on dirt. 1 of them was when they were taken off dirt. So I think that Mike Maker very likely not to run Street Ready in this spot and go ahead and run Brigadier General with Dallas Stewart and Tyler instead. So if we're looking at this race, I would look at the 14 pretty heavily in the late pick 3. The Shaluki, like I mentioned, is in that 1-turn mile at Churchill Downs. It's grade 3. For fillies and mares 3 and up, go for $300,000 here, because that's what they do at Churchill. Love the purses. I wish they had the turf course worked. A lot of horses here that are interesting. If you wanted to look for class, I think the 3 here, Hidden Connection, is pretty clearly the class. She picks up Tyler here, last out under Christian Torres, had a real shot in the Locust Grove behind Search Results. There is no horse of Search Results level in here. So if someone's going to class up and win here, it's going to be the move to Tyler for trainer Brett Calhoun. And it'll be Tyler who picks off this race with Hidden Connection, the 3 in this one. So if you wanted to go skinny, if you wanted to be someone who played a considerably skinnier ticket, look at the 14 in race 9 and then look at the 3 in race 10. There is a horse here in oeuvre, which means a book or like a library book in French, daughter of Shackelford. Again, 4-year-old daughter of Shackelford. I'm a very old man. And a lot of different jockeys at different places. Was running at Hawthorne for Chris Block, comes down to Kentucky Downs, wins at Kentucky Downs, comes to Keeneland, wins on the turf, and they have her entered here on the dirt. And good news, Chris Block goes turf to dirt at 31%. So his horses do find switching surfaces. He and Jareth Loveberry together, 25% their last 93 out. So they obviously have a good connection there. So look, if you wanted someone who's going to be, I think you'll get every bit of 9-2 on an over the 4 here. And interested to see if she can get it done. She's 6 for 8 this year. She went 7 for 8 last year in a bunch of listed stakes in sprints. So at Churchill, she ran 5th. Before that, though, she won the Mardi Gras at Fairgrounds on the turf. Before that, she won the Panzeretta on dirt at Fairgrounds. So this horse is all over the place. What I like about her, and it's something I've mentioned on this show a lot, I just like horses that win, man. Once in a while, you just
I think we all do.
No, but I mean, it just sometimes handicapping, we overthink it. What's the time? What's the speed figure? What's this?
Right.
Some fillies just like to get out front and win the races, and she's one of them. So sometimes that has a lot of value, and I think that over offers us all of that here in this one as well.
I mean, Goodnight Olive is a good example of that. A horse that just wants to get out there and just run.
She's going to pass everybody.
Yep.
On those races. Falconet is in here. When we talk about this race tomorrow, I imagine Dan's going to mention Falconet, who he had in the groupie doll at Ellis Park, going a mile. So we're going a mile here. I like that experience because if you know the 1 mile course, on the form, it looks like a straight line. It's actually a little bit off if you were trying to run a straight line, it would be forcing you to run a little bit to the right. And then when you come on the track, the main track, it's a little bit of a drift to the left. At Ellis Park, it's a much harder left turn coming out of that mile chute. It's a bit like the one at Saratoga. But that she has that experience at a mile and won the groupie doll this summer gives me a lot of hope under Gerardo Corrales that she would get it done here. What's interesting is they moved to Louie Saez. I wonder how much less that's going to happen, Zach, now that we saw Gerardo Corrales win a Breeders' Cup race with no balls, right? And so will he start to get more of those mounts? I do know one thing for sure. If you play any day at Turfway this fall and you don't have Gerardo Corrales in your tickets, you're an idiot. So 1 for 3 lifetime at Churchill, 2 for 3 at the distance with a second place finish for Falconet here. She's at 4-1. I'll be honest, I would rather have Ovra at 5-1. I just think that she's more interesting in this spot, and I think the mile won't bother her being a daughter of Shackelford. And then the other kind of longer shot that I was interested in, can the 9 get here? Can Hot and Sultry get the job done here for Ricardo Santana Jr.? He's been riding a lot for Norm Cassie. This horse last ran in May, ton of time off here. We're going sprinter route technically from 7 furlongs back to a mile. I don't think of it that way. She did win previously going a mile at Churchill over this course. Did it in a $1:35 and change. That's a winning time. She got out front, stayed out front under Tyler. Gets Ricardo here. Ricardo's having a nice meet, 12%, but only 4 wins and 34 hits. I'm going to use Hot and Sultry underneath. I don't think she's going to win, so I'm not going to put her on top. I'm going to use her, as second place or third place in an exacta trifecta kind of play. The 9 Hot and Sultry. Interested to see if she runs well or not. I will say there is one horse in here that I cannot figure out, and that is Braganza for Eddie Keneally and Declan Cannon. The two of them are 0 for their last 14 at Churchill. But I think this is the kind of horse that's an absolute every other type. Last time out on the turf at Keeneland, finishes 5th by 10 lengths. Terrible. Before that, wins a Colonial in a 7 furlong dirt sprint. Goes to Saratoga before that on the dirt, finishes 5th by 22 lengths. But before that at Churchill, over 7.5. So just short of this distance. Wins under Louie Saez. So I don't know which horse is going to show up, which version of Braganza. But that's a horse that if you leave it out of your exacta or your trifecta, the 6 in the Shaluki on Saturday, I think you got a shot of missing the exacta or the trifecta there. The final race is a maiden special weight, and I've been getting my ass handed to me by these maiden races to close the cards at Churchill for a solid month and a half. So all of them can bleep off. I don't want anything to do with them. On the days when I'm like, oh, a second timer is going to win, they all run 7th. And then, oh, no, there's no chance at a first timer. The first timer just comes bounding home like it did today. So I'm going to give you 4 horses here in the last race that I'm interested in. Some of them are obvious. So Cabernet is in this race, Zach.
Ooh la la.
And this one grinds my gears. Hang on. It is spelled Caberneigh. Literally Cabernet.
That is so amazing.
Is it?
So is.
So the interesting thing about these races, Zach, and we talk about it on the show as well, these are 2-year-old fillies. This is where you have to really pay attention to try to find the next Oaks winner, right? And so I have to take these races really seriously because this is a $120,000 race with serious breeding. Cabernet, for all the jokes, is a daughter of Munnings. It ain't like she's bred by some donkey, right? I mean, super successful horse.
She's not the daughter of Rich Strike.
Come on, Louie. Pulled him out of the sale. Boy, they found out nobody was going to buy that horse, didn't they? Oof.
So quick. Quick.
Ooh. That was fast. They were like, yeah, we'll put him up. And then like today, they were like, yeah, we haven't gotten any phone calls. No one's visited the farm to check them out. That's
like a guy at a Louisville gas station offered us $25, so we're done.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah, right. I don't need a gift card to Applebee's. Thank you. All right. So the Copper drops in this race, second timer. I bring up Cabernet because it's his third time starter. In one that I think has a legit shot. Moving from turf to dirt here, excuse me. From last time out, it ran really well at Keeneland last time out under Tiago Canuto. Keeps the same jock here. He hasn't had a ton of mounts at Churchill, but neither is Scott Barker, the trainer. So I think connections there kind of preclude that horse from being a major factor. Copper drops in this one for Ricardo Santana Jr. and Steve Asmussen. The two of them have been terrible at Churchill lately, but it is a second timer. And, Asmussen does a lot of things really well. Turf to dirt with this one and maiden second start, 17%, 18%. This is the kind of horse that could absolutely win the race on Saturday. But since the first timers have been chewing my ass lately, I'm going to try to find a couple for you. Velvet Kisses is in this race. That's what Zach and I will be doing next week when he gets here. Louis Saez, Eddie Keneally, the two of them though, 23% at Churchill Downs, 21% overall, over 100 races there in the old record there. Saez on a much better tear than he was. What did he start, Zach? 1 for 40 or 1 for 30, something like that. He's up to 6 wins and 52 runs. So he's over 10% already. That means he's probably on a hot streak. So 8-1 there. Horse has been working at Keeneland, does have a bullet at the beginning of the month, going 4 furlongs and 47 and change. That's the kind of speed that can absolutely win this race. So if she's got her game on, she's a daughter of Mastery, paid almost nothing to breed this one. So I'm actually kind of rooting for her to come out and do her job there. But Velvet Kiss is a daughter of Mastery and Kinsley Kisses. Where did the Velvet come from, folks? Where's the Velvet from? Can you tell me? I don't understand the Velvet reference.
Because Mastery Kisses doesn't sound good.
I need a Mastery kiss. What's going on? What's got to do to get a Mastery kiss? Sounds nice. I don't know. Maybe it's not nice. What the hell do I know? Oh, man. All right. But Sonia Door's in this one as well. And that is a very Portuguese name, but we're going to let it go. And Tyler's aboard for Cherie DeVoe. Cherie DeVoe only wins about 8% of her first starts. Okay. So that's about 1 in 12. But she wins at 14% with 2-year-olds and at 16% in maiden special weights. Both of those are really good numbers. Like really, really, really good numbers for any kind of trainer. She's at 18% this year. Hasn't won at Churchill in this meet, but she's got a smaller barn. A daughter of Union Rags. They paid $160,000 for this race, or for this horse, excuse me, out at Black Horse Farm. This is the kind of race where I haven't trusted Tyler, and he gets it done anyway. Horse is working it. It worked at Churchill last out, had been living at Ellis and Keeneland before that, so the horse has at least been on track. So she'll be ready to go. Outside sort of post there with the 11, so it'll allow her to kind of make a mistake on the outside and be fine and not get totally stuck in traffic. So interested in her as well. So if I was looking at first timers, I would trust the jocks here. Velvet Kisses with Louis Saez is the 5 horse. As I burp away from the mic because I'm a gentleman. And then Sonia Door is the 11 for Tyler. If you get Tyler Gaffalione on a horse at Churchill at 10-1, that's a win place bet essentially every single time. Because in 71 runs, he's won 12 times, 11 seconds, 13 thirds. That's just a guy who hits the board. If you want to be boring with racing at Churchill, just bet that guy to place, and you'll probably hit a lot of races with Tyler. You might not make a ton of money, but at least you will definitely hit the board in that way. So I would lean on the 5-11 here. I do think that the Ricardo Santana Jr. ridden who was that? Copper Drop, excuse me. The 6 horse has a legit shot as well. So I would use those 3. I would try to stay away from that 8 Cabernet, not because I hate the breeding or the name, but rather because I don't trust the connections to get it done in that last race. Again, goldbookbets.com. Go check it out. I'll put out a late pick 3 based on being on the turf or off the turf for Saturday. We'll do it totally free. The only thing you got to do is punch in your email on the website, goldbookbets.com. So there you go. So what do you tell your kids about a trip like you're taking next week? If people don't know, Zach lives in Austin, Texas.
I do.
And has an RV that costs a little bit more than my house. So they are driving to Tennessee first to do the I guess it's a theme park, right? That's what you would call Dollywood, right? It's a theme park.
Yep.
Okay. Are there shows? Like, do you see like a hologram like Dolly? I'm not kidding. Like, I really want to know.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I haven't really looked at it. I heard that, from irreputable sources that it's more fun than Disney. Because it's a tighter feel, right? Like they know what they're doing. Right. What they're doing is country plus rides. Got it. And Dolly Parton is active in cultivating it and making sure it looks taken care of and all that stuff. Plus you got Pigeon Forge right there. So that's already and Gatlinburg.
Dollywood purchased the old Six Flags in the middle of Louisville.
They did. I was about to say that.
And Zach, in a year, the customer service went through the roof better. It's cleaner. It's nicer, like everything.
Yep.
Like in a year. And so if it's anything like that, and they've had control of it for years, it's going to be awesome. So what do you think, Dolly Parton? Bigger gay icon or liberal icon, do you think?
Oh, gay. I don't think she's a liberal icon at all.
Is she not?
I think she should be, but because she has done
a gay icon, like it's over the top, right? I mean,
it's but she has done more for Appalachia, Tennessee, poor people, like you name it. That woman is the Tennessee version of
Mitch McConnell put together.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say she is the Tennessee version of Mother Teresa. Like that woman has stayed with her husband, has been an amazing everything for as long as she's alive.
There you go. Yeah. Little gay icon talk on the horse racing happy hour. How about that?
I mean, hey, it is what it is.
I did get pinged by somebody today, a mutual friend of ours, whose name I will not mention, but he was very excited because he's never purchased.
Is it Mike?
I'm not going to tell you. And he's never purchased an American Hockey League jersey, but he found out his local team is going to have its first openly gay player this week. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, no. And he's very excited. And it just made me think of him like, so he's going to that game. And then Zach's going to Dollywood. It's just a bunch of gay stuff happening. And that's all right. You got to do what you got to do.
Hey, I am going to buy a knife in Pigeon Forge. Okay. I'm going to forge my own knife.
Wait a minute. Is that a real thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? There's like a culture in Pigeon Forge? I actually don't know this.
There are multiple places there you can forge a knife.
Quite literally forge one.
Yeah.
How about that? I like that a lot. So
obviously they do all the work for you. It's like, here, we're heating this up for you. Now bang on it with a hammer for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Cool. Like now dip it in the oil to put it out.
It's like
great
job.
Going
to Maker's Mark where you got to dip your bottle, but in this case, you're going to dip a knife.
Yeah, exactly. But they're actually, for people who are familiar with the Netflix show Forged in Fire, one of the winners of Forged in Fire started a knife making shop there because Pigeon Forge is literally a hotbed of forges. Like the culture is there. Yeah.
I think one of the cultures in Louisville that people have no idea about is the glass blowing culture.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's stunningly awesome. Yeah. But that there are like numerous standalone studios that's all they do.
Yeah.
I think people would be surprised. I would guess you can go to a half dozen just downtown in Louisville. It's just a stunning. If they survive COVID, I've seen a couple of them since, but yeah, no, I'm always amazed when people have those interests, like forging knives or glass blowing or whatever it might be, where there's the art requires a significant amount of danger, and it also, it makes something very cool, right? Like making a cool knife is cool, right? Making glass blowing is cool, right? And so it's interesting what towns get known for and what they're good at, but
I mean. Some people might not know, but Louisville actually has good sports players. They go to other colleges, but
I mean, not good football players around here. That's about it. The women's team is really good.
Oh no, I didn't say they stayed in Louisville to play. They go to other places to play.
God, it's so true. Derek Smith, Rajon Rondo, they all just bail, man. It's
unbelievable. They bail. They play through high school, kill it, win the state championship in Kentucky, and leave.
I mean, Nolan Smith's on staff here. He played at Kentucky Country Day and he went to Duke.
Right, exactly.
He's like, peace out. It's unbelievable.
Oh man. Love it.
There you go.
So we leave on Saturday and we're gonna drive like 8 hours a day because it is, living in Austin, we haven't done a ton of RV trips. We've done about 4. And you don't realize how central Austin is to the United States. Like it is only 19 hours to Disney, and it is 19 hours to California, and 16 hours to Tennessee, Kentucky border, 16 hours to Louisville. Like
So what are your kids doing? So your kids are 10 and 7, is that right?
Yeah, 10, 7, 7.
What are they doing during these trips?
Louie, you'll be very disappointed in me.
Is it screens and games?
Oh yeah.
Why would I be disappointed in that?
Because Louie, we have a 48-inch screen that plays Netflix the whole time, and they're on a couch with seatbelts on watching Netflix while they play on their Switch.
Sounds awesome. I'm jealous.
It is awesome.
I'd like someone to drive me around like that.
I'm jealous too. Well, I'm driving this 24,000-pound bus, and they're all back there playing video games. All right, guys, no problem. My ass is totally like numb now. It's been numb for 6 hours. Hope those video games are fun.
You have a better marriage than I do. That's all I know.
I doubt that. I've met Kristen.
I have very little hair. She would have pulled all of it out, I'm sure. So. 8 hours in an RV. Actually, she might like that. Now that I'm thinking about it, she might like.
No,
it
she totally would. Because she would just sit back there and like read a book at the dining room table.
Yep, that's exactly.
And like text people.
Right. You are 100% right. I'd get to wherever we're going, and there'd be 35 Instagram stories. You're totally right.
They're totally would.
And then she'd pop out. She's like, "Why are you in a bad mood?" Thank you, honey. I love you too. Thank you.
Yeah. Fortunately for me, Bridget likes to drive, but
that's good. There you go.
But she's definitely white knuckles it, whereas I'm usually a lot more relaxed when I'm driving the RV. That being said, twice I almost hit a car that I didn't see in my blind spot, but who's counting?
Oh man, I saw a oh gosh, I forget where it was. I think it was CNN.com, and someone said the study was people in large SUVs more likely to hit pedestrians, and I'm like, that's why you get a large SUV.
Yes. Oh no, I read that. Yes, I read that article. I was like, well, duh.
Yeah, okay.
You hit someone with your car and your car gets totaled. You hit them with your SUV. You just keep driving.
Next up on CNN, water. Is it wet?
Yes, exactly.
Join us after the break. Oh, man.
Next up on CNN, Donald Trump has been indicted again. Oh, thanks. Congratulations, CNN. You knocked it out of the park.
Oh, man. Nancy Pelosi made another $3 million. Find out how. Yeah. We know.
By this time, it was because Paul Pelosi sued the guy who hit him with a hammer.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Too soon? Sorry.
No, I don't want to ever get hit by a hammer. That's pretty much.
Oh, no, neither do I. Terrible. I remember playing catcher when we were playing baseball out in the street with my brothers, and my brother took a step back to swing and hit me with a metal bat in the side of the face.
That's nice. Oh, is that what happened to your face?
Exactly. This is right here.
That's what this is. Oh man. All right. Well, let's get out of here. It's been 40 minutes. John Sherva's like, what are they even talking about? Look, yeah, goldbookbets.com. If you're still listening, good Lord, go get a sheet this weekend and check us out. We usually do them for $1. We're just trying to pay our bills on the website. So just come help us out. Goldbookbets.com. Go check it out.
And coming soon, we're going to have subscriptions and premium content. It's going to be awesome. So the subscription will include the Gold Book, which is our handicapping. It's going to include videos, some special edition podcasts, and some interviews.
And if you're into college basketball at all, I'm hosting a show Tuesdays called 40 Minutes of Pod. It is named after Nolan Richardson's 40 Minutes of Hell. It includes Coach Mark Lieberman, who was on the staff for the 2013 Louisville national title. Mark Ennis, who's a co-host with me at ESPN Louisville. And then Jay Davis, who's a basketball sort of geek up in the Detroit area. It's a very, very good show. And sort of a kind of surprising number of people already listening to it. So if you're interested, 40 Minutes of Pod, it's on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. It's already in the top 20 basketball podcasts in Canada. Zach, how about that?
Yeah.
Canadians love me.
You should have done a hockey podcast.
Or the geolocation on the podcast in Detroit is showing up as Windsor, Ontario. So I'm not sure.
Listen, all 5 Toronto Raptors fans listen to you.
Should the NBA expand to Edmonton?
Find out next week.
Find out next. Edmonton. Can you imagine? All right. We're going into free agency, son. How does Edmonton sound as an NBA landing spot? The guy just stares at you. Dirty look. Can I go to Miami, please? Can I not go to Edmonton, please?
We're gonna send you to British Columbia.
Miami, right? Exactly. They tried Vancouver. Even the NBA guys were like, Vancouver's nice. Oh,
the Hudson Bay Moose.
God, no kidding. Man.
So many Canada jokes.
I know. All right, play the music. Let's get out of here.
Oh man, another edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour.
There you go. Well, good luck with all your wagers this weekend. I'm Louie hanging out. Producer Zach. I'm at Radio Louie on Twitter. He's at Zach Zahner on Twitter. You can find us at Horse Happy Hour as well, of course. Look, people, appreciate you hanging out and listening to this show. We really can't believe how many people do that, but it's fantastic. And we'll be keeping it going, hoping to be able to announce something that we'll be doing for the winter shows. Related to handicapping as well. Hopefully that'll come through in the next couple days, and then we'll get you ready. We'll keep you company all winter long. I'm Louie Rebeau. This has been the Horse Racing Happy Hour. We'll talk to you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.
Ooh, turkey.
Chalupa.